Yeah!
Wait, I'm off it. There we go.
Can you drive upstairs? Oh my god!
Oh no.
No, let me up! Come on, yeah! Yeah! Hey people. So today we're going to be talking about the positives and negatives of the Modern Warfare beta. Of course, it's going to be opinion based, so there might be some things that I like that you dislike, and vice versa. I obviously had a lot of fun with the Modern Warfare beta as I played it a lot. It was both extremely frustrating and a lot of fun at the same time. Now we're going to start off the video with some positives, and leave the negatives till later because it's a lot easier to remember the negatives as opposed to the positives. So of course I have more negatives, but that's not to say that the game is bad. Let's get right into it. Starting off straight away, the guns sound amazing and the sound design in general is very good. I've fired a few weapons in real life and I've got to say that they sounded a lot like the guns in game, so Infinity Ward have done an amazing job on that. Now yes, Call of Duty isn't meant to be a simulator or military sim or whatever, but a little bit of immersion with the sound design isn't such a bad thing, and I can definitely appreciate it. Footsteps can be quite odd. They're a bit like Rainbow Six Siege in a way where sometimes it's hard to detect whether people are above you, behind you, round the corner, you know, not that sort of thing. Because like the reverb and stuff like that of when in buildings. Also, finally, Infinity Ward have given us a decent PC port with unlocked frame rate, numerical values for sensitivity, and a field of view changer, along with a whole plethora of other options that we've been asking for years. This is a massive step forward, and straight away, this has improved my opinion of the game. Of course, Beanox has done a good job on the PC port once again. Another positive is that headshots are back in play again without the need for high caliber. Now, high caliber has been a pet peeve of mine for many years because it became a crutch to players that, to quote unquote, good players, due to the fact that we can hit headshots and we go for headshots, and it's kind of pointless if you don't, and there's no real reward to it unless you're using high caliber. And it felt like a bit of a waste of an attachment slot, you know? Because in the older Call of Duties, you get one less shot to kill for free, essentially. So having to use a point in your creator class slot, it was just, you know, just removed the incentive for them and made the game feel less skillful otherwise. Another positive is that we're finally back to a modern day shooter. Once again, we're able to use the guns that we fell in love with all those years ago. And there's just none of the futuristic nonsense. We get a more relatable experience in the sense that what's going on today could well be what's happening in game. So of course you'd end up connecting with that. As for the map design, it's a step in the right direction. We did need change because the 3-lane nonsense was getting a bit boring. However, it's not the best change of pace and design when it comes to the maps, but maybe it's a bit too realistic, but need a bit more playtime to figure that one out. And once again, the nuke makes a return. It's quite hard to get with how quickly you die, so it's very rewarding when you do actually get it. I myself haven't got one yet. 28 was the closest I got, so that just goes to show how hard the game is, considering I went back to Modern Warfare 3 the next day. Moab first game on, so, you know. Also, the problem with the nuke being at 30 kills instead of 25 is it really promotes camping in this game. And that's not the sort of thing I want to do to get nukes. It doesn't feel as rewarding or skillful in my opinion. But it is nice to have the nuke back at least. And it's a reward in itself because it ends the game and you get a win. So it makes sense for it to be hard to achieve. The movement in the game is absolutely fantastic. I'm currently doing a commentary. Just had Reese join my TeamSpeak room. Alright, well, what was I saying? Yeah, anyway, the movement. There we go. I feel the movement is better than Black Ops 4. The sliding is a bit, well, it's shocking, to say the least. But at the same time, it's nice not having somebody sliding around corners, spraying you down, and actually making it so it's just more of a movement mechanic as opposed to a strat to end up cheesing people. However, I have been cheesed by the sliding before because of how the hitbox goes, where they go from a slide into the prone and go from sliding into prone. So this is kind of a positive and a negative at the same time. I don't know. Sitting at max field of view, double sprinting around everywhere, you feel like an absolute badass. You're probably going to run into a claymore or an enemy and die, but at least you die with style, right? And in general, the satisfaction of playing this game is rivaling that of Modern Warfare 3 and Ghosts in terms of your bullets killing people, at least when it's going well. So of course, again, this is a step in the right direction. I haven't had satisfaction from killing people for a long time. Also, crossplay worked surprisingly well, but I did end up turning it off as there were some issues with it, but we'll get into that later. I mean, it's a beta, and they managed to get it working already. Quite incredible, if I must say, if I do say, but with all the differences in hardware, of course, there are going to be some issues, so we won't ridicule them for that. And of course, the last positive I have written down is that creator class is back to how it used to be. I never really liked the pick 10 system. I liked having fully built classes, so having this again just brings back that old nostalgic feel. No specialist bonus has been seen in game yet, but if they do add it, it will be amazing. So I'm remaining hopeful for that. One last thing that I don't have on the list is that the graphics is pretty amazing. There are a few options which aren't there at the minute, like depth of field and whatnot, that hopefully will be added, along with other anti-aliasing options, because I do not like the blur that's added from TAA or whatever it is. But yeah, they've really gone with realism in mind. That isn't what I like, personally, in video games, especially not Call of Duty, because I played it for the arcadey, go mad, go nuts, adrenaline-fueled craziness. But Infinity Ward and whatnot have worked very hard on the game. I respect them for that. So I'm just going to give it a chance. As much as it's not the direction I wanted the game to take, I will be fair about it. Anyway, moving on to the negatives. I'm sure you know what the first one's going to be. Dark corners and weird lighting. Now here's the thing. I've been paintballing before, running through dark buildings, looking out of windows, all that sort of thing. And you don't get flashbanged in real life. Even if it's rather dark, your eyes adjust quite quickly. So going from dark to light and then not being able to see anything is super obnoxious. And I hope that they tone it down or maybe even remove it from the game, because it just feels really frustrating. An anti-fun game aspect, if you may. Not only that, but there's a lot of times where people can see you easily and you can't see them at all, and it's just very frustrating. And once again, another anti-fun aspect to the game. Especially in the sense that it's not a just get better, idiot sort of problem to solve. It's literally you just cannot see them. There was also quite a sizable delay on hit reg and player movement. For example, you're shooting at somebody not looking at you, and all of a sudden they've killed you in one bullet, and it doesn't show that they've turned around or anything. Your bullets don't feel... Whether it's to do with the travel time or not, I don't know, but your bullets don't feel like they're connecting straight away. And there are also a lot of times when they just feel like they disappear into nothing. But yeah, it seems like the enemies aren't reacting to your shots and all of a sudden you're gone. Then it just feels a little bit out of place. This happened even with cross-play off, so it might just be a game engine issue at the minute, which needs to be refined. Or maybe server-side, who knows? I don't know much about this sort of thing. Anyway, talking about cross-play desync, it does feel even worse when playing against console players. Now, luckily they don't rush as hard as PC players, because I feel like if they did, it would be a lot harder to hit them and a lot of the time see where they are. Hopefully the crossplay gets refined and ends up becoming more stable as the year progresses. This is completely new to Call of Duty, so of course it's going to be very difficult to get right first try. And considering it is first try, they've done rather well on it. So I won't attack them too much for it, but it did feel a bit iffy when playing against console players due to the hardware differences, and yeah, I'm sure there's other factors which I'm not aware of. But once again, I don't know much about... I don't know anything really about computer programming or how a lot of hardware works and differences and stuff like that. All I personally care about is optimizing my network and computer hardware for gaming, you know. Want the least input lag and the best response time possible. Anyway. Another pet peeve of mine is the fact that the Ground War playlist had a 4-player party limit. I understand that it's squads of 4, but it just felt awful. Comparing it to Battlefield, you can join a server with tons of friends and absolutely obliterate an objective and have a blast. There's nothing more satisfying than running in with like 10, 12 friends on Battlefield and just taking an objective and working together as a team. Now, of course, this will be a bigger problem for streamers that want to play with their viewers, because you'd have thought that Ground War would enable said streamers to play in parties and interact with their viewers more and stuff like that. And in a sense, it is drawing attention to the game, allowing streamers to play with a lot of viewers and stuff. A lot of people are happier when they're playing with their streamer, and they'll have more, and well, they have a better, they have more fun when they're doing so. Jesus Christ, English is hard. Now, I understand that having larger parties allowed for Ground War might lead to some interesting moments. For example, if it was, say, a 16-player limit, because of course 4 parties of a 16 could end up having support parties or loads of snipers camping on hills together, all that sort of thing. Or just cheese in general. So maybe when people are in such large parties, the matchmaking might change, or make it so it's party-based, in the sense that it puts parties against other parties. Now, would people complain about this? Probably, because there's been a lot of complaining about skill-based matchmaking. I'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, the 4-player limit in Ground War just felt like it was too small, considering you can have a 6-player party in a 10v10. This doesn't really add up, does it? Here we have shoot first, die first. It felt like you'd shoot players a ton and have no plausible way of losing the gunfight. Feels like you're absolutely on target. Then your bullets would just disappear and there'd be no telling of how you lost the gunfight. Or, of course, where your bullets went. Maybe having a bullet impact indicator in the kill cam showing where your bullets went, or trajectory, all that sort of thing, would be cool. And have the toggle in options so people can decide whether they want it on or off. Because a lot of the time, it feels like you're shooting dead straight and your bullets just disappear into nothing. So being able to tell whether you just need to aim lower or adjust your aim a bit, or whether it's just a bit of lag or whatever, that would be nice to see. It could possibly remove a bit of frustration, but it's just an idea at the end of the day. And here we go, Azir Cave gets his own section. Just because of how bad it is. I'm sorry to say, guys, but it's definitely one of the worst maps in COD history. A lot of people dislike it, including myself. It just doesn't really have any flow to it, and when TDMs are consistently lasting 10 minutes, you know something's wrong. I mean, 10 minutes is the limit, not the target here. And honestly, it just feels like it wastes everyone's time when Azir Cave goes on for 10 minutes. I personally started leaving whenever it was Azir Cave towards the end of the beta, because it was just always the same no matter what. Now let's talk about the horrific spawns that have been occurring. Just please add more spawn points so we can avoid the Modern Warfare 3 revenge spawn nonsense. The amount of times where I killed somebody and had them respawn right behind me a couple of seconds later just to take 2 steps and shoot me in the back. Absolutely ridiculous. A lot of people didn't even have to take any steps to shoot me in the back. They legit spawned with me in their line of sight. This, of course, punishes an aggressive playstyle and makes, again, emphasizes camping and makes it more efficient. However, the only problem is that even when I was sat in mid waiting for the enemies to come out of their spawn, they often wouldn't, which would then mean I'd have to push in, then I get shot in the back. It just rinse and repeat problem for me. I genuinely, personally don't believe that skill-based matchmaking was in the game. I played quite a bit on the beta, and I was quite often pitched against players who weren't that good, in my opinion. I was quite often pitched against players who really weren't very good. There weren't any players that were like cracked out of their mind. And I probably did have a 4 or 5 KD with high score per minute due to how I was playing and the streaks I was abusing. So if I did end up in the quote-unquote skill-based matchmaking lobbies, I think I broke it somehow. Because I wasn't seeing it or feeling it. The most I felt was high KD sweats, so to say, that would camp for streaks. But nobody really rushing around getting streaks and that sort of thing, and playing well like Nate Gibson or Syrian would do. Or Shroud, for that matter. Now, obviously there were a few sweats here and there. It's the Modern Warfare beta. There's all optic scumpies and whatever else, tryhards, you name it, going around trying to get the world's first double nuke for a little bit of Twitter clout. Now, that's not to say I wasn't tryharding for nukes, because obviously I was. Who wasn't? But it might not be skill-based matchmaking. It might be, A, you're not used to playing against other good players, which, of course, in a beta will happen due to the fact that, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people tryharding to get nukes and double nukes. B, you're not as good as you thought you were, /R, which is totally fine. Finding out that you're not the best just means that you have more room to improve, which should be a motivation for you instead of a negative. Yes, it might be annoying Yes, it might be a bit annoying struggling when you've been playing for years and you feel like you've reached your peak. But just try not to let it demotivate you. Did I have games where I struggled? Of course I did. But did I feel like it was skill-based matchmaking and always facing the biggest, best players ever? Not personally. Maybe I'm being more reasonable than a lot of the community, or maybe I got some special matchmaking bracket somehow. We'll never know, but I'd rather not go throwing around skill-based matchmaking, trying to make excuse for why I was doing bad. A lot of the time, the deaths could have been avoided if I just played slower, you know. Now, here's another massive thing. Ghost absolutely needs rebalancing in this game. The game already rewards a slower playstyle with pre-aiming and claymore abuse and all that sort of thing. Ghost only enhances that effect by allowing players to sit on head glitches and still remain off the UAV. I personally believe that it should only work while sprinting. Not super sprinting, but normal sprinting. I feel this would at least change the pace of the game and make it so when there are when there are armor-free snipers at the back of the map going full military sim, you at least know they're there and can prepare. Speaking of claymores, throw in a claymore nerf as well. That would be greatly appreciated, as EOD feels like a crutch perk at the minute with how many people are running claymores with restock. Mate, an idea would be maybe make the advanced UAV detect the claymores and stuff like that, or lower the damage that the claymores deal, increase the amount of time it takes for them to explode when they're set off, or maybe make them more visible. Again, the advanced UAV having that ability would be quite cool. And finally, lack of kill streak looping in this game really punishes good players for staying alive. Now, I feel it should be re-added to the game, but we meet them halfway with it. Make the second set of streaks take maybe 2 or 3 more kills to achieve. So the personal UAV, instead of being a 3 kill streak, becomes a 5 or a 6. And then the UAV becomes like a 7. And then the extra kills keep getting added cumulatively. So that way it's still harder to get more streaks, but at least you're not getting punished for being alive. I feel it will be a nice healthy challenge, and it will definitely add more depth to the game. But yes, that's a few thoughts here and there. I haven't covered everything. I'm sure there are more things that I could talk about, but I don't want the commentary to go on for 20 minutes. I do enjoy the game overall, even with all the negatives and stuff. It's something fresh. It's a bit campy for my liking. People are abusing a few mechanics here and there, but that's what the players are like these days. They like to cheese, and that's never going to change. I don't want to hate on Infinity Ward. I'm not sponsored in any way. I'm honestly just staying hopeful because I want a good year of Call of Duty. I'd like something new to play. I've been stuck with the old CODs for quite some time now. And yeah, it would just be nice to have fun this year, you know? So I hope that some of the things change. I hope that we don't have to deal with a lot of the obnoxious nonsense. At least not for too long. But yes, I'm looking forward to the full release in October. And honestly, I'm just happy that the PC port is playable for once, because after how Infinite Warfare was, it was looking pretty dire. But yes, well done Infinity Ward and Beanox. Thank you very much for watching. But yes, well done. The game could be worse. It's a step up from Black Ops 4 at least. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know how you guys feel about the game down below, and whether or not the skill-based matchmaking comment I made annoyed you. As you all should know by now, I'm quite a troll. Thank you to all the people that have been supporting on Twitch recently, and of course thank you to the members on YouTube. You guys are making my life a lot easier, and yeah. Catch you guys later. Get inside!
Hello there.
Craig Gavin.
Back to black with a sub as well, bloody hell. Hell yeah. I'm basically Shroud at this point with all these subs, god damn. No, seriously, thank you. Thank you very much. Don't ask. We need eyes, send a recon. Why are they over there? Flash out!